les utilisateurs, les parties prenantes internes peuvent être soit des utilisateurs, soit des prescripteurs des produits et services à acheter. A prescriber is someone who will prescribe for something. For example, let's say doctor, you go to the hospital and you meet your doctor and the doctor will prescribe, will prescribe to buy some medicine. To prescribe means the doctor will write down a number of medicines for you to buy, and you will have to go to the pharmacy or to the drugstore and buy the very same products prescribed by your doctor. So even though the doctor is the writer of or the prescriber of the medicine, but he is not the one who is going to take the drugs. You are the one who is going to take the drug. So your doctor is a prescriber, but you are the end user. Prenons l'exemple d'un médecin qui prescrit des médicaments. Le médecin qui vous prescrit tel ou tel médicament parce que vous êtes malade, the doctor will prescribe the medicine for you to take them. So you are the end user. We call it end user, ce qui signifie l'utilisateur final. You are the end user. Vous êtes l'utilisateur final. But your doctor is the prescriber because he will prescribe, he will write down the specific type of medicine for you to buy. Et lui va prescrire le type de médicament que vous devez acheter et consommer. In the company, you may have prescribers and end users. The end users are the people who actually use the products or services purchased by the procurement team. Les utilisateurs finaux sont réellement des utilisateurs du produit ou du service acheté par l'acheteur. But the prescriber, just like your doctor, are not the end user of the product, but they are in between the end user and the buying service. Okay? They stand in between the buyer on the one hand and the end user on the other hand. So in this context, the buyer will have to talk to the prescriber. The prescriber will specify in details what are the requirements for the items or the product or services to be purchased. And once the prescriber has written down, has spelled out the specification, the requirements for the product or service to be purchased, then the buyer will have the right type of information relevant to identify the demand or identify the need. Une fois que le prescripteur aura défini avec précision les caractéristiques du besoin ou les spécificités du besoin, alors l'acheteur sera en mesure de pouvoir identifier exactement le besoin du prescripteur. So the prescriber will have to write down the specifications, write down functional characteristics, les caractéristiques fonctionnelles, or technical characteristics. If you are buying a car, For example, you will have to specify what type of car you want. Do you want an SUV or you want a truck? Which one do you want exactly? Do you want an electrical car or you want a fuel car? What color of car are you looking for? What are the specific features you want to be in the car? You want the stereo, you want the CD, even though today we don't have CD. So you have to specify exactly what you want in the car so that the buyer will go look for exactly the right type of car you are looking for. Vous devez spécifier exactement le type de véhicule avec toutes les caractéristiques nécessaires qui permettent à l'acheteur de pouvoir identifier le besoin. This is what we call need identification. In the purchasing process, the buyer must be able to identify exactly what the requirements for the end user or the prescriber. So you may address your request to the prescriber. Sometimes you can also talk to the end user. So it depends on how the organization, how the company is organized. Donc, parfois, vous devez vous adresser directement au prescripteur ou plutôt à l'utilisateur final afin de pouvoir comprendre exactement de quoi il est question. In the organization, every organization has their own process, and the process has to be laid down, which means written down, so that everybody in the organization, especially those working in the purchasing department, must be aware of the type of documents to be used in order to collect the information. Les acheteurs ou l'acheteur doit pouvoir comprendre quels sont le type de documents nécessaires pour collecter de l'information. Why do you need to collect information? Because in order to identify the need, you have to collect the information in the form of a form. Okay? So one of the documents that is used in procurement or in purchasing is called a purchase requisition. This is an example of a purchase requisition. In this document, the end user or the prescriber will write down the specifications or the characteristics of the product or services for the purchase department to buy. Okay, so this is the purchase requisition, a document wherein the prescriber or the end user will have to write down any specification related to the product or services to be purchased. C'est dans ce document que l'on appelle la demande d'achat que l'acheteur, que le prescripteur ou l'utilisateur final va pouvoir indiquer toutes les caractéristiques techniques fonctionnelles liées aux besoins qu'il éprouve et que le service achat ou l'acheteur devra acheter. For example, in this purchase requisition, the buyer will have to, the prescriber or the end user will have to specify the type of product, the quality of the product, description of the product, the number of product he wants. For example, I want to buy a pencil. What type of pencil do you want? What is the color of the pencil you want? How many pencils do you want? And sometimes you have to specify the delivery deadline. when do you want the pencil to be supplied? When do you want this pencil to be ready in your office for use? So you have to say exactly when you want the pencil to be delivered or supplied to your office. How many of them you want? And sometimes the budget. Do you need an expensive, a specific type of pencil? If yes, how much does it cost? So we have to collect all this information that is relevant for the purchasing department or the purchasing officer to be able to buy exactly what the end user is requesting. So by definition, a purchasing requisition is a formal document in which a prescriber or the end user make his or her request. To make a request signifie faire la demande. Donc, a formal requisition, la demande d'achat est un document, is a document, the formal documents wherein the end user or the prescriber indicates or describes the specification related to the purchase, the product or service to be purchased. Donc c'est dans ce document spécifique que le prescripteur ou l'utilisateur final va pouvoir décrire les caractéristiques propres aux besoins que l'acheteur devra pouvoir acheter. So, in this video we have talked about procurement or purchasing. In another episode, in another video, we will tell the difference between procurement and purchasing. As for now, let's assume that purchasing means procurement and procurement means purchasing as well. Later on, as we proceed, we will make a distinction between procurement and purchasing. So in this video, we have talked about purchasing. Nous avons parlé de l'achat. Et dans cette vidéo, on part du principe que le procurement et les achats, c'est la même chose. Même si en français, il n'y a pas véritablement... la différence est sur le procurement et les achats, mais c'est pareil. Mais dans une autre vidéo, à mesure que nous allons avancer, nous verrons quelle est la différence entre le procurement et les achats. Et donc, dans cette vidéo, nous avons vu ce que c'est que le procurement, nous avons vu ce que c'est que les achats, et nous avons vu que les achats dans une entreprise variaient en fonction des procédures mises en place. Purchasing activities vary based on the purchasing processes in place in every organization. In order to understand the purchasing process in place in every organization, we have to look at how the organization is organized. What is the production planning in that organization, that specific organization? And then once we have, we are knowledgeable. Once we know what the organization is doing, whether it's a manufacturing organization or it's a service company, we should now understand how the purchasing process goes and how it is implemented. So I really thank you for watching this video.